I recently made a video about why supplements suck and how you can avoid the issues you have with dietary supplements. A lot of you loved that video. So now I'm gonna make a video about food and some of the challenges that there are in the food industry. The food industry and dietary supplement industry have a lot of overlap, but they're also slightly different. The supplement industry has a lot more margin and you can make more kind of borderline shady marketing claims. So there are more shady marketers and business operators in supplements, but food is not that different. There's a lot of weird stuff that you might not know that's going behind the scenes in a food industry that you as a consumer might not enjoy. Oh, and if you're new to the channel, I'm Taro, and I've started a food and a supplement company called Four Sigmatic. We operate in like 65 countries, been doing this for over a decade, and we sell both food and dietary supplement items. As a consumer originally, I was just excited about health food, natural products, and the longer I've operated in the industry, the more skeptical I've become about a lot of stuff. And in this video, I'm gonna share 8 things that I think are kind of messed up about the food industry. Now, a small disclaimer, this video will be mostly focused on US market, but I have experience with both Asia and Europe too, and they're not that different. So a lot of the concepts are similar in those markets too, but there are regulatory and legal factors that vary a little bit per country. Some for the better, some for the worse, but this is mostly US focused, but most of the advice is universal. First thing that's kind of messed up about food is that the Nutritional Facts panel, or the panel that explains the calories and the macros and the micronutrients, can be off by like up to 20% higher or lower. So if you think you're getting 20 grams of protein, you might actually be only getting 18 grams of protein. If you think you're getting 500 calories from this cheat meal, it might be, as long as it's under 600, it's okay. So companies can intentionally or unintentionally label 20% off high or low from what is actually going on. Now, do I think some variances should happen? Yes, because it's a food item. So there's minor differences when you grind nut butters or whatever, how much fat is in it. But 20% is a pretty big amount to me, at least. For me personally, if you're tight with calories and macros, always eat less, not more, of packaged food. If it's fresh whole food, you're probably good. But if you're eating any sort of a packaged food, be kind of skeptical about the calories and always assume there's less protein than you think and there's more calories than you think. Another thing that's kind of messed up and contrary to the popular belief, organic food doesn't mean it's without pesticides, insecticides, whatnot. Both USDA and also a lot of the European organic authorities allow for maybe even hundreds of different pesticides that can be used in organic farming. Now, these might be like better pesticides than other pesticides, but still, it's not fully free of these things. Now, you might have seen a lot of news about different pesticides in foods or glyphosate and the effects on health, negative effects on our body. And I do believe in a chemical cocktail, especially in a huge amount, these can compound in our body. Our body is an amazing detoxifier, but if you get too much of those toxins, it will surely affect the body. Obviously, if you buy conventional, you're probably always getting these gnarly pesticides. If you buy organic, at least most cases you're not, but it's good to know that it's not 100% off either, and that organic is just the label. Personally, I buy organic. I try to buy farmers markets and organic products exclusively, but also at the same time, it's good to be intellectually honest that doesn't mean they're all good products. The other thing about food is that there's a lot of unproven fillers. Now, companies also play with the psychology. I'll get to that later by saying there's no fillers, but there's a lot of things like gums. If you buy certain products and they have gums, we don't really know their health effects long-term. There's some early indications that they might be messing with our gut. There's also colors, like food colorings. They sometimes say it's from a beet or whatnot, but you could buy a fish. It's basically painted fish, and it's made to look more fresh and appealing on shelf, but in its natural form, the color is way off. There's a bunch of documentaries online about especially the meat and fish industry, so I'm not gonna get into it, but there's surely a lot of fillers in all kinds of products, including vegan products that are widely unproven, and we don't know what the effects are. The government might say they're safe, but do we know that they're safe? I would say no. And in general, try buying as clean label products as possible. Other thing that's kind of weird about the food industry, if you buy a product that says it has natural flavors, let alone artificial flavors, it could mean something like that you're getting vanilla from beaver's butthole. It's not really the butthole, but like it's a gland near the butthole, castoreum, that you extract vanilla. Not all vanilla is extracted from there, but the point being is this natural flavors thing is a huge black box, and it can come from anywhere. So you might be thinking you're buying a vegan product, but you're ingesting semi butthole. And as a food industry insider, I've often asked natural flavor houses, they're called flavor houses, where does this come from? They never tell you where it comes from. It's so shady. Avoid product with any kind of natural flavoring. Like, buy stuff that's unflavored and then add your own flavoring if possible, or buy products that use, let's say, real cacao or real vanilla in it for flavor purposes. Next, your food might be radiated. Yes, you heard it right. Radiation is a common food safety protocol, especially with international foods, but also sometimes domestically. The governments around the world, usually almost more hippie government it is, the more pro radiation they are, which sounds really counterintuitive, but it's very common in Europe too and Australia. But they radiate the heck out of food. It's considered safe and non-harmful, but personally, I think that doesn't seem like common sense. But it's very common that certain foods can be radiated, and radiation, again, in small amounts is probably fine. The Earth is low level radiated, so we are exposed to radiation all the time. That's no biggie. But in large amounts, it is very common that it can cause issues in different bodies. Surprisingly, like things like cancer might be on the rise. Who knew? And if you're wondering how this works, is they put like huge boxes or amounts of food on a conveyor belt. It goes through like an X-ray with gamma rays, and they ionize the shit out of it. And that's how they do it. They just blank stare. They don't like take one item at a time, but they just like blast off large amounts of food at the same time, especially at like places like customs, if it's a foreign food. There's some good reason why this might happen, but as a consumer, I think that's pretty sketch. Now, I've mostly talked about packaged consumer products that have a long shelf life, and some health expert might say is like, avoid those products, just buy fresh fruits and vegetables. We talked about the fish being painted and whatnot, so it can definitely happen with meat products too, but they're like, hey, buy these veggies. But there's also shady stuff with fresh food as well. For example, fruit is often picked unripe. So you get like a totally unripe banana or fruit in a tree, and then you put it in a container boat and you ship it to the US or whatever. And a lot of the health benefits of that fruit or vegetable come from the maturity of naturally getting ripe with the sun, photosynthesis, vitamins. So the quality of the product is nowhere near what you think it is, and you're not getting the health benefits of the fresh fruit and vegetables if it is collected unripe and put in a ship somewhere. By the way, you often also taste this. If you ever go to a place where there's like fresh oranges from the tree and you're like, damn, why does this taste so good? Well, that's how it's supposed to taste. You're just buying unripe fruits and then eating them later. They don't taste so good. Second to last tip is branding doesn't mean quality. Now, sometimes it does, but like many cases, you can buy the exact same item that's unbranded and it come from the same supplier, same factory, and it's just good. Especially with like high quality private label brands like Kirkland. Yes, Costco Kirkland is quite a quality product actually. And you can get it for way cheaper. So the branding doesn't mean it's quality product. It can come from just the same supplier, can service like 100 different brands. Now with unique products, there might be specialization where you really want to work with people who care about the quality and know a lot about, but in general, if you're buying bulk items, having a brand doesn't mean it's a quality product. Last and finally, maybe the most important, slightly the most esoteric, is that there's a lot of shady consumer psychology in play with these products, especially with large food companies. They have whole teams looking at eye data, where your eye goes in the shelf and how you play. And then there's marketing agencies and different kinds of people playing with your consumer psychology. So they're using certain images that make you feel a certain way. It might be a huge, massive corporation and they put a little farm on the packaging. That's the obvious one, but there's a bunch of other ways how they use your brain in a way that makes you think, have a perception of the food They often say that perception is reality. Reality is not reality, perception is reality. And using this consumer psychology in food will make people buy it all the time. Food has lower margins than supplements. So in a way, they can't afford as big marketing campaigns as a supplement or a beauty brand. So they have to play with these more subtle plays, especially in packaging, to make you think you're getting something and keep rebuying it over and over again. Eggs might be a good example, where if you look at the egg packaging, you feel like, oh, these are really happy animals, right? And the reality, once you visit any factory farming or egg production, might not be as happy. That's it. Hopefully that was helpful and you learned something new. If you did, leave a comment below, subscribe to the channel, and see you in the next video. And if you haven't checked out the supplement video, you should watch that as well.